Yes, it is.
And welcome back. We have with us today a special guest, the director of the John Bosco Classical Academy that we all hope is coming to our area for the 2016-17 school year. And this is Miss
1718.
1718. Okay, yeah, we're in 16 now.
Yes.
1718. This is the director, Angela Denton, and we have her number posted up on the screen. So at any time, if you would like to jot that down and contact her for more information.
Just don't call her right now. We're kind of busy with her.
But she's going to share with us what this new academy is all about. So Angela, give us an overview of what the John Bosco Classical Academy is.
Basically, it's a college prep scholarship program to help high school students get full academic scholarships to go to college. There's a lot of money out there, but most people don't have time or don't know where to find it or how to find it. And then the students aren't always prepared to compete to get that money.
Right.
So basically, the idea of this program is to give them the people skills, the job skills, the experience, and help them to discern and focus them before they get to college as to what they are interested in studying and preparing. That saves them money in terms of they can get scholarships that are geared toward the specific field they want to go into. For instance, my son is a junior at NC State, and he's in plant genetics. He was interested in crossing plants when he was 14. So he got internships before he went to college, and so he was able to work with people in the field and to sort of have them mentor him and guide him. And he was able to take courses at NC State before he was a full-time student in areas specifically dealing with what he was interested in. So by the time he was competing to get scholarships, he could demonstrate he had done work in his field, he had committed time and energy to that, and
obviously had the grades and achievement to be able to qualify for it.
That's right. And so basically we're going to specialize in giving them the academic skills in terms of writing and public speaking and their test score, which is the #1 deciding factor for them to be admitted into college, because it's the only objective measure that college admissions people have to discern students that are well prepared. So my program is designed to be time effective. In other words, students don't have to spend 14 hours a day in school to do well. We have a very short school day from 7:30 in the morning to 1:45 in the afternoon. We incorporate internship, 1 full day with internships or community service that are designed to slowly help the student discern where they want to go. 6-week community services, and help them to narrow down their focus. So the parents participate in this decision-making process. Instead of waiting until they're juniors in college and the parents have no input as to what they decide to do, and meanwhile they may end up getting a degree and realize they don't want to do that. So having worked in the field before they go into it, they have learned the ins and outs, the goods and the bads, the yuck work that you have to do in any field you want to go into, but to develop the passion and interest in what they're doing. And I believe that every student is designed to do well in particular areas. And
Certainly.
so we have to try to develop their talents. So we also want to motivate them. So we incorporate sports activity during the school day so that they can take a break, you know, they can study intensely shortly and then do something fun so they can enjoy it. So part of the principles that John Bosco incorporated in his educational methods, and that's why it's named after him, is to integrate play, work, and fun, as well as the arts, music and art, into the development of their education that helps them develop their character and their personality.
And certainly colleges look for well-rounded students when they're looking at accepting a student.
Well, and it just gives them a big advantage if they're focused. That is the primary key ingredient in obtaining scholarships, is having students that are focused. And you know, we shouldn't wait until they're 20 to try to figure out how to focus them. We can start at 14, and by 16 they should be able to start getting paid and working in what they're interested in doing. My second son is a communications major at NC State, and he worked, did a work part a couple weeks here at the TV station, an internship at the newspaper, and at the radio station in Rocky Mount. And then his senior year, got a job hosting a sports talk show, which is what he wanted to do, and got paid to do it. But if he hadn't put in some hours and figured out what he wanted to do, and he wanted to do radio, but he needed the experience of working at a newspaper. So the professionals were guiding him, saying, well, this is what you need to do, and this is how it needs to happen. I have a third son who's still in high school and getting ready to go into engineering, and he's going to start taking engineering courses at NC State. They have a very good program. It's called the AEO program, Academic Enrichment Opportunity Program, in which high school students can start taking college courses and start their college transcript, not fulfilling requirements, not taking calculus and physics, not basic requirements, but courses that are specific to their field of interest. In other words, they can start taking courses, if, for instance, he's going to be taking exploring engineering careers, and all engineering majors are required to take this course in addition to everything else. But he can start doing it in high school, where he's starting to
see all the applications in an engineering field, which are different for many types of businesses.
I mean, he's pretty convinced he wants to go into mechanical engineering, but we interviewed with the head of the engineering department at NC State, and he pointed out, well, he needs to explore what all the skills are, and he explained the requirements to get into that specific school. They take their GPA average of just their calculus and physics courses. So at the high school level, the best way to prepare him for that so he can be competitive with that college GPA is to make sure he has enough background in calculus and physics so that he's comfortable when he gets there and not struggling. So that's part of what I do in this program, is to prepare the kids specifically for the field they're going into. We do extra science, advanced physics, advanced chemistry, human anatomy and physiology, marine biology. Now, if a student isn't going to go into a science field, he doesn't have to take all those science courses, but he'll have a big advantage if he is going to go into a science field having had advanced courses. So if a student is ready to do college work, well, then we will start them right at NC State. They have to have an ACT score that is good enough to get admitted. In other words, they have to prove that they can do college work, and when they do those courses, they're treated like any other student. They're not given allowances for being high school students. Obviously, we're going to make sure they're going to be successful. So.
And you mentioned the ACT, and I think that's a lot of that's a test maybe a lot of people don't focus on as much as the SAT. Why do you focus on the ACT?
The ACT is an achievement test, so it measures what the students know. It measures math, reading, and science, reading and English skills. I think it's a very fair test. It is harder to get a very high score, but it measures exactly what the students have achieved. In other words, I use a pretty well-prepared curriculum that by doing the curriculum, they will automatically be prepared for the test. In other words, we will drill them a little bit on test practice for time management purposes, but if they go through the curriculum, they're very well prepared. So it's a fair test. The colleges actually sometimes use the ACT scores rather than their own placement tests to place students. My oldest son didn't care to take calculus, and so he botched up the placement test because he didn't want to take it, but the counselor looked at his ACT score and said, guess what, it looks like you're perfectly capable of taking calculus because your ACT score is very high in math, so you're going to be taking this. Awesome. So the ACT test is now accepted at every college, so because it's an achievement test, it's more useful for the colleges, and the students have control. I'll sit down with them and say, what score do you want on this test? Let's see where you are, let's see what you need to do to get that score. They can control the level of their score. And it's a good motivational tool for parents. I mean, I told my sons, well, at that time, NC State needed a 24 to get in. Now it's a 26. But I said, well, if you want to get your permit, we have to have a 25. Well, that made it so that it was they took ownership. They saw a direct correlation between, if I get this score, I get my freedom, I get a card, And once they got their permit, they had to get 1 point higher, because the higher you go on the test, the harder it is to get that extra point. And if they break a 30, that makes them very competitive for scholarships. But we started in the 9th grade trying to get that admission
Right.
score. And if they're doing well in school, if they do well in math, they don't really need extra practice to do well on that test.
Now,
So,
what are the grades that you'll be taking in the academy?
Just
high school?
Yes, 9th through 12th grade, but we can accept, just like NC State can accept high school students that can do the college work. In other words, I can take 7th and 8th graders that can do the high school work. In other words, if they can do the work, then they can start. I mean, some kids are ready to do high school work and when they're 12 and 13. But in other words, it is specifically college prep for high school students to make them competitive. I mean, it's a good investment. I mean, a lot of students, it's not just about getting them ready to be successful in college, it's also about getting them ready to be competitive and to have the ability to make decisions and to think through their choices and to incorporate the parents in that process and respect their value system. Once they get to college, they're presented with myriads of choices. They have a lot less in high school. But if they haven't had any guidance in how to make those choices and how to make decisions that they would like the outcomes for. And in today's world, you can Google anything. So education is not about information.
Right.
It's about learning how to process what's important, what's not important, what's relevant, what's worth investing your time in. So we work a lot on time management by giving them the freedom to work to be able to choose how they want to spend their time. So that's why the school day is short, so they can invest time in other things. If they're on travel teams, students who are competitive athletically have to also have the academic skills to go with it. And this program would do that for them. So
But it puts a big focus on the individual student to be that focused, to be that disciplined, to work towards a career, a chosen career path, to be able to get to college, to get that degree, and to hopefully do so with a scholarship.
Right. In other words, but you see, no student can do that by themselves. And the choices out there are a lot of choices and a lot of resources, but for the average parents who are working, it's very hard to keep up with all the deadlines.
Job, yes.
And so I've spent a lot of time doing that, and I feel like I have a lot to contribute because I've pulled a lot of information together that, I say, well, for this scholarship you have, each scholarship has 3 and 4 deadlines, and they all have different requirements and different rules and different essays, and it's hard for school counselors who have, 150 student load to keep up with what needs to happen for every single student. So the way I do it, we have that initial interview and we assess what the student's interests and abilities are, and also the resources available to the parents. And part of developing that internship thing is to, have the business community invest directly in their own future, because the student is likely to return to where the people that have invested in him. Just like my sons all chose to go to NC State because NC State helped them when they were 16.
Right.
And provided access to their resources. They have incredible resources up there that are not available to the average high school
And there is
student.
a huge NC State partnership in our region here for adult learning and other aspects.
How big are the class sizes?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to keep them small because we need to have it. We emphasize that a part of the learning tools are the face-to-face interaction with the teacher. So during the day, they will be interacting with the teacher. So we will keep them, no larger than 20, and they'll be between 10 and 20.
Nice. Okay.
So not, but I mean, part of the learning tools that I think in today's information-laden age, people have underestimated that teaching is not a one-way street. It's not a matter of sitting in front of a computer screen and absorbing information. You need that give and take play that is necessary for a skilled teacher to interact, to give that student feedback as to how they're absorbing and how they're learning. And I think people underestimate, books are good resources, computers are good resources, but people are the best resources. And teaching students how to learn from other people.
Now, physical location, the school, I understand, is going to be at Station Square.
That's correct.
And
we're going to use the facilities at the Senior Center for the athletic, swimming, basketball, and soccer. Those are the sports that are affordable for the overhead, and that's what we're going to start with.
All right.
well, that is very interesting. So if someone wants to learn more, of course, your name is up on the screen with the phone number if you want more information, but there is a website.
That's correct. www.johnbosco.com.
And you
So,
can learn more about this
Classical
school.
Academy.
Yes.
John Bosco Classical Academy. It is a college scholarship prep program. So not just preparing you for college, but preparing you to be able to tap into the resources that potentially could have your college paid for.
Yeah.
That's the objective, to get it all paid for so that students are graduating with a degree with no debt and having earned it themselves, with their own achievements.
That is wonderful. And to help a young person be that disciplined and focused that early in life is just, my hat's off to you, because you don't find that often.
Well, I think that teenagers have an incredible amount of energy, and their brains are very, very elastic. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to deal with the hormonal things, but that's part of the job of having good, committed teachers who love their subject and love their students and are not going to be afraid to be challenged a little bit. And we encourage them to challenge, to part of that decision-making process, and we just sort of guide and focus them a little bit and bring the parents in on those decisions when they need to.
So understand the application process is already in play.
Yes, in other words, they can just go online and basically set up an initial interview where we test what they know, what their strengths are, and where their interests lie. And
Well, very
make sure they're a
good.
good fit.
Well, we thank you for coming on this morning and sharing about the new academy that's coming to our area. I think it's very exciting, and I think you'll have a lot of interest by a lot of parents.
I sure hope so.
who definitely are very interested in not only their child doing the best that they can do with their studies, but to take ownership and involvement in patterning it so that they can achieve more, achieve for a directed purpose, and hopefully get that scholarship.
Well, and it's teaching them to be lifelong learners
Yeah.
and involving the parents in also learning. I enjoyed learning and keep learning. And so some of the coursework, homework is college lectures that the parents can watch together with their students.
Okay.
And then we have seminar discussions. So involving all the people that matter to that student in that learning process makes it more interactive and more fun and easier to commit their time and energy to.
Okay. Well, it's very exciting. So again, Angela Denton, the number's on the screen. If you want more information, she's happy to take your call and share the great opportunities that are coming our way in this community. And with that, we've got to take a commercial break here. And but stay with us. We've got another hour coming up
Yes, we do.
of some exciting things to talk about. And thank you for staying with us this morning. And Angela, thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Definitely. We look forward to hearing more about this this school.
Oh yeah,
this
we will.
academy.
I will be hosting an information table. I'll have a vendor table at the Rocky Mount First Friday Christmas at the Imperial Center.
good.
There you go.
So if people
And what's
are
the date of
interested,
that?
That's December 2nd, I believe,
Okay.
the first Friday.
At the
And
Imperial Center.
Yeah, I'll have I'll have all the table there with all the textbooks that we use and any information that they would like to look at if they wanted to look at that, and I'll be glad to answer.
Great opportunity
Awesome.
there. Definitely.
Make appointments.
Very good.
Okay,
Well,
thank
we're going
you.
to take this commercial break
Yes.
and stay with us.